welcome to MetroArts. I'm your host, Cheryl Coonan. Here on MetroArts, we highlight some of the best in the business, from fine artists, photographers, and performing artists to cinematographers and musical artists, all from the Metro Detroit area. On today's show, we have Samantha White and Cal Schwartz from Shakespeare in Detroit, rock and roll photographer Tom Weschler, and jazz vocalist Shahida Nurullah. We'd like to welcome the founder and artistic director of Shakespeare in Detroit, Samantha White, and costume designer Cal Schwartz to MetroArts. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
So, Samantha, let's start with the basics. What is Shakespeare in Detroit?
Shakespeare in Detroit is a site-specific theater. So instead of us having people go to the theater to see us, we bring theater to them. So we go to the places where they live, where they work, and where they play.
Wonderful. Where did you get the idea to do this?
I was inspired to start a Shakespeare company back in 2008 after I visited the Utah Shakespeare Festival. At the time I was living in Vegas though, and I knew I was going to come home. When I came home I was actually hoping someone else would do it, but when they didn't, I decided to go to Tech Town and build a business plan and a feasibility plan, and after doing that I just started my own Shakespeare company in 2012, but it took about a year and a half to get funding to do so. Finally, I got funding from the Detroit 300 Conservancy, and in August of 2013, we performed on the Quicken Loan stage Othello, which was the first time there's ever been Shakespeare in the Park in Detroit.
Wonderful. How exciting.
Yeah.
Now, how are your performances different from traditional Shakespeare productions?
We're outdoors, or we're in unconventional places, like our most recent performance, which was at a recycling center. We were there, and people, it helps people kind of reimagine what they think about Shakespeare or traditional theater. So the fact that we're not confined to one space makes us different. We travel to different historical parks, venues, and sites within the city's boundaries.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
And I know this is your second season, and one of the plays you are choosing to perform is Antony and Cleopatra. How did you choose that?
Well, it's a beautiful story, and a lot of companies don't do it because it's so epic, and typically it's very expensive to produce. But after seeing a bassoonist from the DSO perform there, and he kind of distorted what people think about classical music and turned his bassoon into an electric guitar, and that inspired me, and I wanted to kind of distort what people think typically of Shakespeare. And because that space is so epic at Recycle here, I knew we needed epic text, and that meant we had to do Antony and Cleopatra.
Great. Now, Cal, I understand that all of the costumes are made from recycled material for
They
this
were.
play.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, Cleopatra, for the most part, her stuff was made out of a lot of Christmas decorations. As we can see on the gold headpiece there, everything I could get my hands on became most of her headpieces. The Romans, they were a little bit of a post-apocalyptic concept. So what we did for them was we took already established garments and then distressed them and tore them apart and shredded them and added layers and things like that. And then the Egyptians, we took new materials, which was the trash, and then repurposed it and created different garments for them.
So interesting. What is it like creating costumes with recycled materials as opposed to not doing that?
Well, it's a challenge. A lot of times there's paper involved with the recycled things, so there's more glue than sewing, which has its own challenges. But it actually worked out for the best. The glue, when it hardens, acts like an armor. Some of the other materials, I have an industrial sewing machine at home, so things like canvas, tarp, things that typically don't go through a domestic sewing machine, I was able to zip right through on my tabletop industrial. So.
Very nice. And you brought two headpieces with us that are from Antony and Cleopatra. Can you tell us about each one and kind of what went into them?
Sure. The furthest one over on the end is her last headpiece. That's when she goes to the monument and she commits suicide with the snake after she finds out about Antony. The front of the snake is an industrial sprinkler head. We took the top part off. We had two big pipe wrenches and we got it apart. And then the back is a tin serving platter that creates the neck and the back of the head of the snake.
Wow.
And then we took an old disco ball that was broken and very carefully plucked off all of our little squares, and then we layered them onto ribbons. The frame for it is built, it's out of seatbelt strapping that we reinforced with wire. So I didn't use a pre-existing shape. I actually created a shape custom to Jennifer's head.
Wow.
And then layered that on. And then the first headpiece here, the gold one, is the first time we see Cleopatra. you'll see later on, it mimics the entire outfit. The whole thing is in homage to a little bit of Elizabeth Taylor. But we really wanted her to make a statement the first time that you saw her, so that's all the Christmas decorations.
They're beautiful, such intricate design.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Samantha, I understand that you also have an organization called Shakespeare Against Cancer. Tell us about that.
Well, that one is, both of them are very close to my heart, but Shakespeare Against Cancer in particular, because I lost my favorite aunt in 2012 to pancreatic cancer, and she loved the arts, and she absolutely loved kids, and I wanted to think of a way to honor her, because I do miss her a lot. And so Shakespeare Against Cancer, I facilitate vignettes of Shakespeare's works for children who are receiving chemotherapy, typically at Children's Hospital or the Children's Miracle Network at Beaumont Children's Hospital. And we go in there and introduce them to Shakespeare, and a lot of times, too, it's the first time some of the staff and the parents have experienced Shakespeare, so hopefully when they're feeling better, we've created a long-lasting relationship with the bard.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I bet it's very well received too.
Oh, they love it, especially when they see the wings in A Midsummer Night's Dream. They go crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I understand we're going to be seeing a performance today. What exactly will we be seeing here in a moment?
I think this scene in particular, the reason why we picked this one is because you get to see a lot of the dynamics that are a part of Antony and Cleopatra's relationship. There's a lot of tension, there's a lot of sexuality and sexiness in it too. And so, and we have two wonderful actors, Jonathan Davidson, and our Cleopatra is Jennifer Cole, and they're gonna kind of give you a gist of what happened when we were at Recycle here not too long ago, a week ago. It's a lot of passion.
Great,
A lot of it.
We're looking forward to it. Now, where can people go to learn more about Shakespeare in Detroit?
They want to visit shakespeareindetroit.com to sign up for updates so they can find out about our upcoming show, A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is going to be back at Grand Circus Park. And they can also find us on Facebook at Shakespeare in Detroit and Twitter, Shakes in the D.
Great. Well, thank you
Yeah.
both so much for joining us
Thank you for
today.
having
Thank
us.
you.
Up next, actors from Shakespeare in Detroit.
I am sick and sullen.
I am sorry to give breathing to my purpose.
Help me away, dear Charmian. I shall fall. It cannot be thus long. The size of nature will not sustain it.
Now, my dearest
Pray
queen.
you, stand further from me.
What's the matter?
I know by that same eye there's good news. What says the married woman? You may go. Would she have never given you leave to come? Let her not say, 'tis I that keep you here. I have no power upon you, hers you are.
The God's best know.
Oh, never was there a queen so mightily betrayed. Yet at the first, I saw the treason's plan.
Cleopatra.
Why should I think you could be mine and true? Though you, in swearing, shake the throne gods. Who's been false to Fulvia? Riotous madness, to be entangled with those mouth-made vows that break themselves in swearing.
Most sweet queen.
Pray you, seek no color for your going, but bid farewell and go. When you suit staying, then was the time for words. No going then. Eternity was in our lips and eyes. Bliss in our brows bent. None our part so poor, but was a race to heaven. They are so still. Art thou the greatest soldier of the world? I'll turn the greatest liar.
How now, queen?
I would if I had thy inches. Thou should have known there were hearts in Egypt.
One word, sweet queen. The strong necessity of time commands our services a while, but my full heart remains in use with you. Our Italy shines over with civil sword. Sextus Pompeius makes its approaches to the port of Rome. And that which most with you should safe my going is Fulvia's death.
Though age from folly could not give me freedom, it does from childishness. Can Fulvia die?
She's dead, my queen. See when and where she died.
Oh, most false love. Where be the sacred vials thou shouldst fill with sorrowful waters? Oh, I see. In Fulvia's death, how mine shall be received.
Quarrel no more, but be prepared to know the purposes I bear, which are or cease, as you shall give thee advice. By the fire that quickens Nihilus' slime, I go from hence thy soldier, servant, making war or peace as thou affects.
Charmian, come. But let it be. I am quickly ill and well, so Antony loves.
Precious queen, forbear, and give true evidence to his love, which stands in honorable trial.
So Fulvia told me. I prithee, turn aside and weep for her. Then bid adieu to me and say the tears belong to Egypt. Good now, play one scene of excellent assembly and make it look like perfect honor.
You'll heat my blood no more!
Oh, you can do better yet, but this is meetly.
Now, by my sword!
And target still he mends. But this is not the best. Look, prithee, Charmian, how this Herculean Roman does become the carriage of his chafe.
I'll leave you, lady.
Courteous lord, one word. Sir, you and I must part. But that's not it. Sir, you and I have loved. But that's not it. That you know well. Something it is I would. Oh, Antony, my oblivion is a variant I'm all forgotten.
But that your royalty holds idleness, your subject, I should take you for idleness itself.
'Tis sweating labor to bear such idleness so near the heart. As Cleopatra this. But, sir, forgive me. For my becomings kill me when they do not I well to you. Your honor calls you hence. Therefore be deaf to my unpitied folly. May the gods go with you. And upon your swords sit smooth success, and laurel victory be soon before your feet.
Let us go. Come. Our separation so abides and flies that thou, residing here, goes yet with me, and I, hence fleeting, here remain with thee. Away.
I'd like to welcome rock and roll photographer Tom Weschler to the Midtown studio. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
It's really nice here. I like it.
Great. Well, so I understand you started working at a music store in Detroit many years ago.
Yes.
And that's kind of how you got your start in what you do.
That's right. I started working, well, first I took pictures of the Beatles off the television. Took pictures of my TV, and that got the bug going. Then when I graduated from high school, I started working for Artists Music, which was a three-store chain at that time. Had a store in Madison Heights, Dearborn, and Detroit. And I drove the truck around with equipment for each store. You know, if somebody ordered something from the Dearborn store and they didn't have it, I'd go to Madison Heights and get it, and you know, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And back then, promoters of shows depended on local music stores for bands that were playing at Cobo Arena or Ford Auditorium or Masonic Auditorium, because the bands didn't travel with 7 semis loaded with all their equipment back then. And our store was a go-to store for that kind of stuff. So I drove the truck, brought the equipment for the Doors, Jimi Hendrix, you know, all kinds of bands like that, and took my pictures while I was not setting stuff up on stage.
Very cool. And in 1968, you started working as a roadie for Bob Seger.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Well, I had already had experience with equipment because of the music store, and a friend of mine from high school was Bob's road manager at the time, and one of his guys got ill, and he called me and said, "Hey, can you help me out? I need somebody to set up equipment." So I went down to, we were playing at UAD, and I went down to help him set up, and 3 weeks later, I kept on working for him, and 3 weeks later he got sick, and so Punchit Andrews, that's Bob's manager, appointed me road manager, and I was that for the next 5 years.
Very nice.
I stayed till 74.
Very cool. And I understand you've photographed Queen, Jimi Hendrix, Van
Yes.
Halen, so many big names.
Yep.
Did you ever get to meet and interact with the artists?
Yeah, all of them.
What's that like?
It was fun. You know, I mean, they're just normal people backstage. They like beer, and other stuff. And that was the 60s after all. And yeah, they were people just, I'll tell you a quick Jimi Hendrix story. Okay. We were getting ready to play they were getting ready to play at Masonic Auditorium. Thick curtain, huge. I mean, if that curtain fell on you, it'd take 2 weeks to find you. Okay, so the audience in the front row can't really hear a whole lot. So Jimmy, I had set up the monitor. That's what I was there for. And I was standing backstage, and he was getting ready to go on. And he said to anybody that was near him listening, he goes, "Hey, listen to this, man. I'm gonna play something, and they're all gonna think Eric Clapton's here." And he starts playing "Sunshine of Your Love." All of a sudden, you hear this murmur go through the crowd. Eric Clapton, Cream. All of a sudden, the stage opens. It's Jimmy here. It was a great show, but he just had a goof with it.
Right.
And that's the kind of guy he was. He was a very pleasant guy, and he liked to goof around.
Such an amazing inside look that you've been able to get. Do you have a most memorable artist or band that you've documented?
Well, outside of the Beatles, yeah, Bob Seger and his different bands, because I always had my camera with me when I was on the road with them. And the Doors, that was a pretty cool show, especially the girls in the crowd. They were so fun to take pictures of. And you know, and let's see, who else? Kenny Rogers, great guy, and George Clinton. Now there's a dichotomy, but those guys are both great guys, real into music, and a lot of fun to be with and hang out with.
Very cool. How did you gain access to all the venues where you took photos?
Well, being Bob's road manager, I got to know all the union guys. And after I wasn't his road manager anymore, if I wanted to go to a show, I just bring my camera and go, "Hey, what's up?" And they go, "Come on in, man, it's cool." And I got to shoot that way.
Very nice.
It was because I knew him. That's basically
Right.
how. And then later on, in the mid-'70s, I started going with promotion men from record labels. Let's say, like Crosby, Stills, and Nash would come into town, and their record guy would call me and say, "Hey, we're going to go to this radio station and that radio station and take pictures of them." And I'd be the guy. I was the guy to do that.
So you made a name for yourself in the industry.
Sort of, yeah.
Very nice.
I never look at it that way, but I guess I did.
Do you still photograph musical acts today? Do you do it full time?
I photograph musical acts whenever I get the opportunity. 2 weeks ago, I went to Chicago to film my son's band.
Okay.
They're called Varsity, and they were playing one of their showcase gigs, and so I showed up with my video camera and my camera.
Oh, how nice for him to.
Well, a lot of fun. I like doing that. I like doing that kind of stuff.
Cool. Now, where can people go to see your work or learn more about you?
Well, I have a website.
Okay, what is that?
It ain't in code. It's tomweschler.com.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
It was great having you. You're watching MetroArts on Detroit Public Television. And now let's welcome jazz vocalist Shahida Nurullah to Wayne State University for a performance in the Midtown studio.
No complaints and no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets. For I have learned that all you give is all you get. So give it all you've got. I've had my share, I drank my fill. And even though I'm satisfied, I'm hungry still to see what's down another road beyond a hill and do it all again. So here's to life and every joy it brings. Here's to life, to dreamers and their dreams. Funny how the time just flies, how love can go from warm hellos to sad goodbyes and leave you with the memories you've memorized to keep your winters warm. For there's no yes in yesterday, and who knows what tomorrow brings, what takes away. As long as I'm still in the game I want to play, for laughs for life, for love. So here's to life and every joy it brings. Here's to life, to dreamers and their dreams. May all your storms be weathered and all that's good get better. Here's to life, here's to love, here's to you. May all your storms be weathered and all that's good get better. Here's to life, here's to love, here's to
That was wonderful.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Now, I understand that your vocal talent has been praised alongside Sarah Vaughan and Betty Carter. How did your singing career begin?
Well, my professional career began one afternoon after I ran into a friend of mine downtown, and he said, let me take you to lunch. So he took me to this restaurant called the Salt Mine, and there was a duo playing there. One of us knew one of the musicians. I don't remember which one of us it was. And so they asked me to sing a song. So I sang a song, and the owner was there, and he hired me right then. I started working there that weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
That's interesting.
Walked in to have lunch and
right place,
came
right
out with
time.
a job. Yeah.
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And you sing jazz, show tunes, samba, quite a variety of genres.
Yes.
Do you like one over the other? Which do you like best?
I just love good songs.
So it doesn't matter which type of music.
You know, it's probably mostly jazz, but I love Brazilian music, but I do all kinds of songs. I just love good songs.
Wonderful.
If it's a good song, good lyrics, good melody, it's all right with me.
And you also won a role in After Hours, Great Legends, Great Music.
I did, and that was my acting debut.
Wonderful.
And it was really a great pleasure and honor to do that. It was written by Dee Dee McNeil, who was from Detroit, but she lives in Los Angeles now. And probably one of the best things about that was to be able to work with Ron Milner, who's a great, great playwright and director. So that was just a highlight for me to be able to work with him, and the great musicians and remaining singers that were in the production also.
Great,
It was
that's
great.
amazing. And you're going to sing another song for us?
Yes.
What are you going to be singing?
I am going to sing Sunday in New York.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're watching MetroArts Detroit, produced at Wayne State University.
New York on Sunday, big city's taking a nap. Slow down, it's Sunday, life's a ball, let it fall right in your lap. If you've got troubles, just take them out for a walk. They'll burst like bubbles on the fun of a Sunday in New York. You can spend time without spending a dime, watching people watch people pass. Later you pause and in one of the stores, there's that face next to yours in the glass. Two hearts stop beating, we're both too breathless to speak. Love smiles her greeting, and the dream that has seen you through the week comes true on Sunday in New York. You can spend time without spending a dime, watching people watch people pass. Later you pausing in one of the stores. There's that face next to yours in the glass. Two hearts stop beating. We're both too breathless to speak. Love smiles her greeting, and the dream that has seen you through the week comes true on Sunday in New York. Comes true on Sunday in New York.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. I'd like to thank our guests Samantha White, Cal Schwartz, Tom Weschler, and Shahida Nurullah for joining us today. I'm your host on MetroArts, Cheryl Coonan, reminding you to foster your own creativity and always support the arts wherever you go.